Hey everyone, Professor Snard here. My office is looking pretty sweet. Got some books up, junk, still my phone there, my degree, prove that I know what I'm doing, sort of. And there's my towel, different position. So everything is looking pretty sweet. Okay, I've also noticed that YouTube has been really weird lately, so if this doesn't work or other stuff in the course doesn't work, it's not me and it's not you. I think it's something weird with YouTube. It seems alright today, so hopefully we're back on track with that stuff, because there's a lot of that, those video components in our course, especially for the unit that we're into this week, which we're now past midterm. So like I said, you've already learned half of what there is to know about world literature of all time. So we have just 2,000 years to go and then you're done. We are into then Unit 6, the middle period, which is one of those terms that's like kind of a little too broad to even be useful, but it covers, for us, a number of different traditions or interesting time periods, I suppose you might say. Part of that, the middle period is kind of shorthand for at least in the European tradition, this sort of Dark Ages period, but again, like is in the material for the course, that's really a misnomer, kind of derogatory. Like, it strikes me as funny to think about if you had the foreknowledge to know what your age would be called by later ages, to get stuck with the Dark Ages. Like, really? All right. If you knew that going in, that sets the bar pretty low, so just about anything you come up with is like awesome. If you live in the Renaissance or the Enlightenment, I mean, that sets the bar pretty high. It's like you wake up every day going, God, geez, what am I going to think of today? I have to be enlightened, for crying out loud. Anyway, so there's some fun background to watch, assuming that YouTube works, on that's pulled from a History Channel series called The Dark Ages. And they do often try to play up the kind of difficulty of this time period, but it really does give you a nice visual sense of what things looked like and even what life would have been like, and pretty rotten, honestly, for all but the most elite of the elite, for the most part. Oh, here's a picture of the plague. That looks fun. Okay, so there's a lot of video material, and some of them are a little bit longer, like 10 minutes or so, but watch them. They're interesting, and again, they provide I hate to say it, but picture worth 1,000 words kind of thing, especially for just historical, social, kind of everyday life context. You can read about it, but to see it is a little bit, more immediate. The readings, the literary readings we have, though, are really fascinating this time around. We have an excerpt or a piece of Japanese no drama, and I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but if you get the chance, go. It is absolutely engaging and captivating and completely weird, but weird in a good way, especially if you know what you're getting into. If you go thinking this is going to be great, like The Importance of Being Earnest, or oh, Death of a Salesman, I'm going to the play, it ain't like that. But if you know what you're getting and appreciate it on its own terms for what it's supposed to be, it is like nothing you will see, have seen before. It's absolutely wild. There's a great little video here that gives you a sense of what the thing was supposed to look like, and the costumes are stylized, very stylized. The set's fairly bare, relatively speaking. The music is sparse. The dialogue or the vocalization is sparse. The movements are so precise, and just little kind of, the toe moves forward, the fan opens slowly. As long as you understand that it takes, in some cases, decades of apprenticeship to learn the intricacies of all those movements, as long as you go in understanding that, you can just appreciate the sort of precision of the whole thing. I remember when I first saw No Drama live, it was like, it was strange, because there were people who didn't kind of know what they were getting into. Some of those folks were on board anyway, which is cool. Others were just sort of rolling their eyes and not cool about it, which is very Eurocentric and not good. But there were others who just had, like, I'm not a no drama expert, but I understood what it was going to be about and what to look for, like those very precise movements. If you go in looking to appreciate that, and of course it's done well, it's really, really captivating. I mean, I was totally engrossed. I was like tired from just sitting there watching afterwards, which is sort of fun to think about, that you're just so plugged into what's going on, which is precisely what makes the sparseness of it all so so much a part of the experience. It's not things exploding or these lavish, realistic sets with actors that seem like just like the guy down the street. It is very foreign, and I want to use that term, carefully, because it's not pejorative, and it's not like foreign equals, oh, that's interesting, even though it's obviously worse than what we're used to, because that's not the case. But it just operates by a whole set of rules that aren't familiar to most people. That's a good way of thinking about it. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the short clip here, but if you ever get the chance to see No Drama live, go do it, for sure. Buy 2 tickets, because you're going to want to go twice. Okay. The other readings that we have this time around, and my Blackboard's having trouble now, are also pretty fun and probably a little more familiar certainly than the No Drama. We're reading Beowulf, a pretty famous poem, obviously in English, but in translation for us. Very much the kind of archetypal poem for the hero as we know him these days, and we've talked about that tradition before. But just this quintessential ass kicker, really. What more can you say about that? And there was an interesting movie version a few years ago that was, I think, super creepy just because it was like that, kind of animation, but not animation at the same time. So it was a weird, very technological looking Old English poem brought to life. But pretty interesting. There's still a lot of debate or sort of scholarly discussion over the enemies that Beowulf confronts in that story. There's Grendel, of course, who seems like a pretty bad guy, bad dude, so we can understand that Beowulf maybe pursues that one or confronts him. Then there's Grendel's mother, who, because of some issues of translation and exactly what words in its original version could be translated into, there's some discrepancy about whether she is just this sort of hideous demon figure, or a full-on suit of armor warrior who just happens to be a woman who is out to avenge the death of her son, which was really what you were supposed to do as a warrior, which is what Beowulf does throughout. So this exacting of vengeance was a pretty common, expected sort of theme. And so there's really like 2 Grendel's mothers that are possible. There's this very evil, just nasty witch kind of figure. And then there's this much more really sort of heroic warrior figure. And again, part of what, you might think that, well, sure, we could maybe see the warrior, but I'm sure it's just more the witch figure. We do have to remember that part of what the poem's supposed to do is show how Beowulf confronted foes who were worthy of his challenge. And so in a lot of ways it makes sense that he would confront another warrior figure. And of course, in defeating her, because she is of this great stature, that he too gains stature. So, just being a bully and picking on the weakest kid, that doesn't really make you, a hero. So things operate a little bit differently in Beowulf. The last reading that we look at is from Dante's Inferno. Again, one of those works that lots of people have heard of, maybe read little bits of, but probably have not waded through the whole thing. And it's epic, so let's leave it at that. But it too has received some interesting modern treatments. The most modern one, or the most recent one that I know of, was for a video game, which I've never played, but is apparently not that great, like most video games out there. Despite my love of the really good video games, I'm not bashing video games. But it is fun to see that sort of world brought to life, even if all of the allegorical significance is lost. Or maybe the video game really is about the soul's path to God. I don't know for sure. But anyway, an interesting mix of readings we have for this unit. Like the rest of our course, you get the sense that you're just kind of all over the place, and it's world lit. That's what happens. So again, we're looking for connections, interesting points of difference, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'll leave off there. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, be in touch with me, and otherwise I will talk to everyone soon.